Defender 消费者产品总监 Maxime Arbier 来跟我们分享必特防毒资安在这1年以及未来所看到的消费者趋势。Let's welcome Defender Consumer Product Director Maxime Arbier share the observation of cybersecurity for consumer for us. Let's welcome.
Thank you very much. Chiche. Well, thank you very much for accepting the invitation today to join us. We are very proud and very honored to be your host today with Julien, with Vincent, and with Yapon, who organized all of this conference. And I hope that you will get out of this conference with some insights and interest and some also interesting things to tell to your audiences. So let's go a bit into the presentation. So we're going to have a short view on the threat landscape, what it is today and how it's evolving, because you know it's in constant evolution. I'm sure you all heard, or most of you may have heard about what happened in Las Vegas last week with the two of the major hotels, the MGM and the Caesars Palace, that has been totally blocked by a ransomware. But even beyond the fact that it was blocked by a ransomware, the customer data was stuck. The machine also were stopped, you see. And some customers have also been locked out of their rooms. So the whole hotel were totally locked, and they paid. And they paid $15 million, you see. It's a large amount, but it's a small amount for a hotel in Las Vegas. And this is it, you know. There's some thinking behind those ransomware attacks, because they know that 1 day or 2 days without a business for two of the largest hotels in the world is far more than $15 million. So they paid, and it's a business. And this is maybe what is the most worrying thing about cybersecurity is ransomware. You heard a lot about the ransomware because of the damages it creates. You hear a little bit about the way it's infected, right? On the other side of the panel of threats, there are also very famous, very popular, all over the news, what we call zero-day vulnerabilities. So these are vulnerabilities in a system, in a program, in a device that has just been discovered. And by the time we fix, or the manufacturer or the provider fix that vulnerability, there are some hackers that can use that breach to enter and to get customer data. And you hear a lot of these vulnerabilities, less about the damage, however the damage are high, but more about the fact that it's infecting at once millions of users usually. And it's those vulnerabilities, I mean, it's really all over the news. So this is just a snapshot of between September 8 and September 13. I just did a very short study. And by the way, if you want more information about cybersecurity, you can go on Bitdefender Labs. We have a full ecosystem of news about security where we post things every day. And this is just zero-day vulnerabilities. And what is interesting here is that it's not just affecting devices, I mean PCs and smartphones, because usually we think cybersecurity is about protecting PC and smartphones. It's not. Look, Mozilla, Google on Chrome, macOS, iOS, even any kind of, let's say, intelligence backup or political consideration using zero-day vulnerabilities to hack any system, right? It just grow and grow and grow, and it's exponential. If you have asked me the question 3 or 4 years ago, okay, Maxime, what will be the next thing about cybersecurity? I would have told you, okay, you know, we build protection for PCs, tablets, and smartphones, and the next big thing will be IoT. You remember, we were all talking about IoT, millions of billions of devices that will be connected to the internet. And those devices, they are made by startups that need to go very fast on the market. So usually they develop the product very fast, they launch on the market, and they don't really secure it because securing a device has a cost, right? But it was not just about IoT, because in the meantime, we realize now today that it's also affecting applications. And there are far more applications on the market than IoT devices. And services, because today, any services you use, you need to create an account. So they are managing also customer data. So the attack surface has become so exponential that you can't keep tracking. It's impossible. for a cybersecurity company like us to list all of those services and to protect those services one by one. 500,000, if you have to remind a number today, is the number of new malwares that appear every day on the internet. 500,000. I mean, there's no hacker that is building or hacking or creating a code generating 500,000 new malwares. There will be millions of hackers doing that. Because today, those malwares are not created by hand. They are totally automated. Each time there is a zero-day vulnerability discovered, hackers just have to update their automation system to make sure that the existing viruses or way of contaminating or infecting devices and services are just updated with the latest information about zero-day vulnerabilities. So it's all about machine learning. It's not new. I mean, machine learning has been here for a long time. It's just that today we call it artificial intelligence, but we have been in the industry of machine learning for a long time. It's big data in the end. We just take millions of data we already have, and we automatically update our system with those data. And this is what the hackers do today. They don't have to create malwares hand by hand. They just automate it. And they use existing, known, reliable ways to access the systems. They just update that data with the information they gather every day. But what about tomorrow? 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 10 million? As a cybersecurity company, definitely many years ago, we had to change the way we work. And this is why, we work slightly differently today. A couple of years ago, we have launched what we call Bitdefender Advanced Threat Defense. What does it do? Instead of listing all the lines of codes that are recognized as a malware, meaning databases of malwares, like all the cybersecurity companies have been doing for a long time. So we keep doing that, obviously, but we generated a lot of those customer malware database to make sure that when a program is executed on a system, on a machine, we identify that code, we know it's malicious, so we stop the program. But when you have so many new threats that arrive on the internet every day, we had to change the way we think, we do, and we had to not protect the users and the machine against the known threat, but protect the users and the machine against the unknown threat. And to do that today, and this is why we score so high in the labs test, we do differently. We analyze the behavior of the programs on a machine. Meaning, if a program is accessing the registry base of a machine, right? It's starting to change stuff on the machine. This is an anomaly. Normally, a program shouldn't do that. Or if a program starts to duplicate files, or if a program starts to encrypt files, in the case of a ransomware, this is not a natural behavior for a program. So we stop the program, we warn the user, we let the user know what's happening, and we not only protect the user, but we'll also feed back that information to our central system and cascade that information on all and the millions of devices that are connected on our network. And this is the way the protection is done today. And this is the way you reach 99.9% protection to 99.9999999% protection behavior. Something interesting happens in June. Because we talked about PC, and this is the way we did for PC. We did exactly the same in June. We launched exactly the same way of protecting devices on smartphone and on Android. So we launched what we call app anomaly detection. Because we had the feeling that applications were so widely used on an Android OS, which is normally very open, that there must be something that we are missing there. So we launched that way of analyzing the behavior of application on a smartphone. And what we discovered was very interesting. On the day we launched, we discovered that there was tens of thousands of applications on the smartphone of our user that were not acting correctly, that were communicating with servers that are very well known for being hacker servers, or that were accessing some user data that normally they should not be accessing. And by doing so, we were surprised because we didn't realize that the user were already infected on their device without them knowing it. How can a user install a program that is not from an official store? Can you imagine? Well, the answer is simple. Because users are users, you see, human behavior is its nature, and there are very many premium applications that you need to pay to get it. And if you want not to pay for it, you may go to an unknown marketplace to install a crack application. And this is when the hackers, this is what they do today. They understand that there are human behavior that are beyond the security of the machine and that do things that normally we shouldn't do, meaning installing a software or an application from a place we don't really know where it's about. That was very interesting. Actually, we blocked everything from the day we discovered that, and we also cascaded information to the rest of the equipped devices. So the two things you see is really why we score so high in the independent test. We noticed earlier today that the most recognized analysis labs that are on the market today are from Germany and Austria, heavy comparative and heavy test. And what they do is they analyze the performance of all the security solutions. And over the last 10 years, we have scored higher in any category. We have also been awarded in 2022 Product of the Year. That's an award we got 5 times over the last 10 years. So this is very important for us because it is analyzing the scoring we do on the market. Well, we discussed about the user and the data. Right. This has become the #1 target. Why hackers hack? Because they want to make money. And for making money, they are targeting specific stuff. We discussed about the ransomware. There's a business model behind the ransomware. But when you block a company with a ransom and you ask for a ransom, actually you block the data that you already have. So once the ransomware is released or once the company paid the ransom, the data is lost. And it's in the nature. Right. So target #1 today in the consumer field is the user data. But even on enterprise, because companies are targeted to get user data. And what they specifically track are credentials to access even more profiles of that same users and ID documents. This is why, beyond ransomware and zero-day vulnerabilities, which are, let's say, highly developed and a complex environment to master as a hacker, more and more you see some not so complex way of hacking which are coming from phishing and scams. And here you don't need an infection actually. You just have to trick the users. But the damages are really high because end users tend not to realize that the data they have has a value. Why should I protect myself? This is a question I'm hearing a lot. I mean, I'm nobody, as we discussed. So why is my data interesting for someone else? I don't have so much money, so why would someone try to steal from me? Because it's easy, because we are millions. I mean, we are billions. So one single scam or phishing can hack the user data of millions of users. It's even more interesting sometimes than ransomware, where you need a sophisticated approach to hack a casino. And then you get $15 million. Where here in that case, with some phishing, you can gain far more than $15 million just by trading the information you receive. And this is why phishing and scam are on the rise, because you don't need to hack a machine anymore. You just need to trick the user. Today, if you go on the dark web, you know there are marketplaces where you buy some information on the dark web. You can trade many things like drugs or any other things or weapons, but also user data. If you find a package in the US, for example, with a passport, a social security number, plus a driving license and one utility bill, this today has a value of up to $5,000, meaning there are people that are ready to pay $5,000 to get a package, a very advanced package of one user. So if they invest $5,000, that's the reason is to make even more money out of it. That's an investment. And this is what's happening. Professionalization of the hackers world. Groups today are totally divided into, right? There are groups that are very specialized in collecting data from all the threats we've been discussing about, ransomware, zero-day, phishing, scam, any kind of way to collect the data. And they are discussing and exchanging with groups specialized in exploiting that data. And these people, they are no hackers. It's criminal organizations. You don't need to be an engineer to actually work in that industry. It's very simple because you just trade and you just do extortion. Here you need some expertise. Here you don't need that much expertise. And for these groups, The idea is to leverage that data from individuals and to specialize to specialize the way you use that data up to the individual and what interest you can get. You can open a bank account with the information you have gathered. Open a bank account, create loans, have a leasing. You get out with a car and then you resell the car, and you don't pay the leasing anymore. The actual user who has been stolen that data doesn't know about it, right? You can also do targeted extortion when some profiles are identified, a high-level profile. So there's many things you can do with the data you've been gathering. And how do they discuss together? They exchange on marketplace on the dark web. So it's become a traded market. They buy and sell. And they also have, in the case of ransomware, some affiliation model. Really, I mean, many of you here are working in the media industry, so you know that affiliation is a strong business model. And there are commissions between those groups and those groups, depending on the ransom they will have got. So this is it. Hackers are professionalized, and this is why it's a rising risk, because it's not just a few guys behind a laptop. Many low-level hackers that can create money out of extortion. So we've seen it. Data has become a trade business. They even use some marketing, what we do in marketing, meaning funnel automation. Really, I mean, you create leads and you qualify those leads, and the more those leads are qualified, the more you have sophisticated attacks. They also do social engineering for a long time. Phishing is social engineering, but now if they find a profile that is interesting enough, they go on the internet, they go on the social media, they check about what he is doing, what his life is, so that they can impersonalize the attack. And this is what will be about tomorrow. Tomorrow, generative AI will even more make automated the way hackers work, but it will be even more simple to impersonate. We just took one example. If tomorrow my mother is calling me and telling, I'm sorry, but I need money, can you send me some money? And this is her on the phone, this is her voice, etc. I can be tricked about that, but you know that AI today, generative AI can do that. And I can bet you that it will happen. And today, at Bitdefender, and I guess in the cybersecurity industry, we are preparing for that. Because this is totally changing. We were talking about exponential. Remember that exponential threat surface, it will increase just because of that. So this is why today, and this is my last slide, and I will hand over to my colleagues, we have moved as a company from protecting the devices to actually protect the individuals with security and privacy. And this is what we do today. Thank you again for your attention.